Hello, this is Ken from Vintage Card Voyage, and this is Mark.
Hey everyone.
And we're here for another episode for something that I think is maybe interesting to collectors like ourselves. Because if you're like us, you may have other people coming to you asking if you can buy their collection or sell their collection or assess their collection.
Right.
It's always fun to do that.
Yes.
But every situation is different. So we're going to actually talk about a real life example. Mark's father-in-law approached him. So I'm just going to ask Mark a few questions, but maybe you can start off by talking about the collection in general.
Yeah. So I had seen the collection about a little over a decade ago, but I wasn't in that collector space in my head really, and so I didn't really think about what I was seeing or how it was like, oh, this is cool, this is late 50s early 60s stuff. It's like, this is awesome that he has these and still has them from when he was a kid. And so then he recently told me in the last couple of years that he wanted to sell it, and so he was like, could you take a look at it? And so I'm like, yeah. And so I happened to be visiting family a few weeks ago, and so took a look at his collection, and it was awesome. I mean, it was just a lot of fun because I obviously I have some cards from that period, but nothing of this magnitude. And it's just also just thinking about him as a kid, getting these cards out of packs, whatever, and then just squirreling them away for 60 odd years, whatever.
And unlike you and me, because we collected largely in the junk wax era,
right?
And we were thrilled to get those cards. These cards actually have some value.
They do. I mean, admittedly, as we've talked earlier about this, but the condition suffered. He was a kid when he got these. Kids in the 50s did what they did with cards. They put them in bike spokes. They threw them against the wall or knocked their
And I
cards.
don't even think they had protectors back then.
I doubt they did. Maybe they had. I don't even know if they had binder pages. Maybe. I don't honestly know. So anyways, I was happy to see them. Knew what I was getting into, and then just went about assessing.
Yeah, so how did you do the quick assessment? Because we've talked about this in the past. I did this recently where there's a quick assessment, like a high level, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the detailed. But to help other people in this situation, how did you do a quick assessment, and then how did you get to that number?
Yeah, so my initial thing was just individually going through all the cards and just seeing what I had, because and it was funny. I was looking through and I saw I think a Drysdale, 58 Drysdale or something, and then I saw a 58 Killebrew, and it was surrounded by a lot of comments. I'm like, what's going on here? And is this missing things? And then I saw, kept going, oh, okay, here we go. Mantle, Aaron, okay, he bunched the good cards together, whatever. And so, yeah, it was basically going going through all the cards, kind of getting a sense for what I could see, how many Hall of Famers are there here, how many stars, whatever. And then just kind of pulling all those out, bunching that together, and then going through and then again looking up on PSA's website or whatever, and going okay, what do I have here? What are we looking at? Yeah. Based on my initial kind of pre-grade.
And so the size was about 1,000 cards, and the quick assessment was an hour or more than that.
Yeah, I guess maybe an hour to 2 hours, something like that.
Yeah, same with me. The couple collections that I've recently seen, in an hour you get a pretty good sense,
right?
And it depends on the sport
and the size of the collection,
right.
Obviously. Yeah.
And for me, the two collectors that I looked at, one was just football in the 60s. So that got really easy.
Yeah.
And then the other one had a mix of basketball, football, baseball. But again, in a 3-year period. So again, very quickly I could assess it.
Right. And I should say too that this wasn't just baseball. This was also football. It was he had some like I think from 54 through 62 I think was the range of the cards, and there was for baseball, and then like Bowman and Topps for football, but just Topps for baseball. So.
Okay. And then let's talk about, now that you've done your quick assessment, how do you do the more detailed assessment? Like, what tools did you use?
Right.
How did you go about doing that?
Yeah, and so I have like a magnifying glass that I look at, and with a light on it. I think I actually did bring it to Virginia, anticipating that I would be seeing this collection. And so, I just kind of look really closely at it, and I have like as we've talked before, I'm a PSA guy, and so I've been looking at the PSA website to kind of like gauge, reading through the description of each of the numbers and go like, okay, what is this? What's the problem here? What, with each of these cards, what is going to grade, and then just kind of getting a sense for each of what they were, and then kind of putting a dollar value behind it, really, or what I think is going to be based on like maybe last 3 sales, or an average of the last 3 sales, or what have you.
And I should say that before we shot this, Mark has a list of maybe 25 cards.
Yes.
And then I just looked at them quickly and did my guess, and we're pretty much within 1 point, maybe 2 points.
Sometimes 2 grades apart, but usually
on
pretty
just about all the cards.
Yeah. Exactly. And as we've discussed before, Ken, you're more of a SGC guy, but I mean, again, the grade's a grade, and it's going to be pretty close to each other, I think. I think PSA is much more, less focused on centering than SGC is, I think. Something like that. So anyways, I did that, and then kind of, after my quick first impression, I gave him like a dollar amount, what I thought it was. Yeah. And then after I did the closer assessment, I had to downgrade that dollar value a little bit. But just again, very rough estimate initially. Yeah. So.
And it's interesting that it's 1,000 cards boiled down to that stack, which is 25-ish cards.
Yeah, 30, maybe 25 to 30 cards.
So, like you quickly cut to the cream of the crop, and then that's where 95% of the value is. And good luck trying to sell commons. But anyways, some people do. I know some people do.
Right.
And then let's show the viewers here, like, what cards are you actually going to submit? And I know we talked about, like, you have a tier 1 of cards where it's pretty obvious, like, these have value, I'm going to grade these. And then there's kind of a tier 2. So maybe show both.
Yeah.
tiers.
So the tier 1 on top here is, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yeah, I think you have
11
10.
cards, I think.
Okay.
10 or 11. So the first one, this is kind of the gold standard of this collection, is the Koufax 55 rookie, which is pretty awesome. I know it's more far from the camera, so we'll. Anyways, and so then there's the mantles. I was just like, one after another was like, wow, this is amazing. So there are 5 mantles in total. The 58 All-Star here, and then the 59 mantle right here, regular, and then the 57 mantle. And actually, he had another one previously that he had gifted me, which was really nice a couple of years ago when he knew I was getting back into the hobby. And then this 58 mantle, and and I actually asked him after I was looking at the collection, I'm like, who's your favorite player? He's like, Mantle. Like, okay. Oh, well, that makes sense.
Too bad he doesn't have 50 of those.
Yeah, exactly. And then the 56, which is severely like cut, and he told me that it came that way, and it looks like it's been trimmed, and I mentioned that to him, but he's like, it came out of the pack that way. And like, again, I don't know what the 50s were like as far as like the way they cut the cards, but it's very possible that that's what happened.
So I think Mark is hoping for a miscut
as opposed to an authentic.
Yeah, which has a difference in value.
Yeah.
One of the things I'll point out is that this is how I think you can tell if you're more of an investor or collector, because I'm more of a collector. So while I was looking through these cards with Mark, I was like, I don't think I could sell these. I think I would want these in my collection.
Right.
But in this case, because you're, doing it for your father-in-law, you have to sell them. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Unless we have another deal that I can make to him to buy it instead. But no, yeah, I mean it's true. It's a hard decision. But yeah. So, anyways, and then couple of Willie Mays, R.I.P. Obviously, the 60 Willie Mays, and then the 58 Willie Mays as well, and then Clemente. Bob Clemente in this one, as the Americanization of his name earlier on in the tops, and 57 tops Aaron. And so these were kind of again the top tier cards, like value wise. There was actually one other I think that I didn't point out was the where was it?
Koufax?
Yeah, the Koufax. Sorry, I just blanked out. There we go. The 62 Koufax, just because the condition is pretty good. Mm-hmm. I think he kept better care of the later cards, like the 62 were in better shape.
And I would say in general, I would put Koufax in tier 1. I think his prices are at a level. And just to explain, like we've been talking about tier 1, tier 2, and most collectors know this, but it's like Aaron, Clemente, Mays, Ruth, Mantle, Ted Williams, Koufax. They're tier 1, and then there's a tier 2, which you're going to show some of that here.
Right. Yeah. So like, well, I should say too. Also, there was actually there were a couple of other cards that involved the tier 1 people. Yeah. Like there was a Willie Mays, like the 58 All-Star Willie Mays, but there's a pen mark right on the bottom of the card, and so it's like that's going to ding it down, more than it would otherwise. And there was an Aaron, also another Aaron with other players like Matthews and those one of those player combo player cards that they have. Anyway, so those are the two other guys in again tier 1. But now, tier 2 is the people like, your Ernie Banks, 58 Ernie Banks, and the Al K-line, also 58 K-line.
Or as the younger folks would say, alkaline.
Exactly. And then this other Banks as well, 56, I believe. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then for the only football one that I put in here, again, there were definitely other stars football-wise. Like there was a Blanda from like 58 or 57, but again, condition and what have you. But then like Johnny Unitas.
And Johnny Unitas is tier 1 for football.
Yes, I believe so.
But I don't think...
Collecting-wise, value-wise, doesn't represent as
that. I agree, yeah.
And then like Barra, there were 2 of the 57 Barras. And the Ed Matthews, there's a couple of Ed Matthews, or 3 actually Ed Matthews, I should say. The 58, 57, and is that 59? And 62 Matthews. And then Musial, we didn't mention Musial yet, but he's another guy who I think he's like cusp.
I think it's tier 1 and a half. Tier 1.5, I would say.
So 2 of the 58 All-Stars, and then also the Banks 58 All-Star. So yeah, those were kind of like tier 2, I feel like, and there were a few other cards as well that came into that relatively close to that perspective. Like so, there was Orlando Cepeda rookie card. So I would put his rookie near tier 2, maybe. But
and this is a card we talked about because I think it should be graded anyways because it's just a rookie card and those are always in demand.
Right.
You might regret it financially getting it graded, but it's iconic because it is a rookie card of a Hall of Famer. So,
No, exactly. And then the Drysdale 58 tops and the Killebrew. Also 58, I believe. I'm saying this. I'm thinking it is all 58 and 59. I keep mixing those up. Excuse me. But and then Peter Reese, again, probably a tier 3. He's one of those guys where it could be. I don't know. I don't know where we.
The Brooklyn Dodgers teams are so hallowed, and
Yeah.
I think he's a tier 2 actually.
Okay. And then we have a couple of, again, those like the team, a couple of players, or one with Snyder and Alston, the manager, and then another Snyder with Campanella and Hodges. So, 3 Hall of Famers in one card, which is pretty amazing. Kind of like those leaders cards that people collect. And anyway, so
great collection.
Yeah,
I mean,
just a lot of different, Hall of Famers throughout, and, fun to look at.
Yeah. So I have one last question for you, which is like, what is the financial arrangement you have, and how did you go about thinking about how to do this?
Well, he actually just proposed it himself. Okay. He said, what you get like I don't feel like I should mention the certain percentage.
Yeah,
but it's like basically like a consignment where he'll, give me, he gave me the cards to sell, and then he will take, the larger percent, the lion's share of the percentage of what.
And we've talked about this before. I'm a big fan of consignment because then it doesn't put you or him at risk of winning or losing the deal, right? And so if you're selling for a friend or relative, I highly recommend doing a consignment deal, because then it's win-win or loss.
Right.
Hopefully it's win-win.
Right.
But I know that a lot of the traditions in terms of collections there's the buyer will just put down a number and you negotiate, and then I'm not saying they can't be win-win, but I like the consignment deals.
Yeah, and so now it's really about me, figuring out how to go about selling this. And I preface this with my father-in-law, like, this is going to take a while, right? Yeah. And so then it's like, okay, which one am I grading? Making that call based on value of grade versus value of raw, and how that kind of works itself out. And it looks like mainly I think the tier 1s are the one I'm probably going to grade, I think. And so maybe, like you said, the Cepeda would be a good one to grade as well.
And maybe we should talk about what is your expectation, and let's talk about timeline, right?
Right.
Because you're going to submit them to PSA.
Probably.
That's going to take a while. It'll take longer than SGC.
I know.
And then after you get them back, then you're going to attempt to sell them. Right. Will you be doing eBay, or will you be doing Facebook groups?
It's a good question. So and we'll talk about this in another episode. I'm going to the National, and so I'm probably going to bring these directly to the National and have them graded there. And it's actually, right now, we had this discussion earlier, but the PSA versus SGC thing, at these level of the grading, what I think they're going to grade at, it might just make sense to do SGC because it's cheaper and the turnaround time is going to be quicker. Yeah. I mean, I don't think my father-in-law is on a clock as far as when this is going to be, done by, but at the same point, I think he would like to see some, return on the, on the sale. So that's to be determined. I have to figure that one out. But as far as where to sell it, it's a great question. I mean, eBay is certainly one possibility. Facebook groups, Facebook groups might be better for the raw cards, and then the graded ones on eBay. I don't really know how to think about that, honestly. So it's something still to be.
And if there are people out there that have experience with this, we'd love to hear how you would go about doing it, how you would sell it, how you would go about coming up with a financial arrangement, because we're here to learn from the community. So.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, and then it's trying to think about, okay, how am I selling these the commons and and the minor stars or what have you? Is it just selling in lots within Facebook groups or something else? Need to determine that, but it's going to be me figuring that out along the way. So.
Yep. So it sounds like a ton of fun.
It is,
and a ton of work.
It is work, but it's work that's fun, and and they'll eventually become a financial reason to do it as well.
Yes.
So.
Yep. That's great.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we want to switch gears right now.
Sure.
But something we did in a past episode that we had fun with was just guessing players.
Yes.
And cards.
Yep.
So do you want to do 2 of them?
Yeah. Sure.
Okay. So I have my 2 players, and Mark has his 2 players. I will go first.
Okay.
And So I'm going to show the audience the card. It might be a little bit hard to see here, but there it is. And now I'm going to show Mark and see if he knows this player. This is from...
Going with Neil Lomax initially, but is he a quarterback?
He is a quarterback, and you got it. Neil
Okay.
Lomax.
Nice.
Very good.
Thank you.
Very good. And I would say he's like a tier 2 quarterback back then, right? In that era.
I'm trying to think, like maybe
fairly
borderline,
fairly prolific. I
Yeah.
mean, I see multiple 20 touchdown seasons.
Oh, really? I was gonna say I felt like he was a lot of yardage, not many touchdown kind of guy, but maybe I'm wrong.
And it seems to me like, I just looked on here. He had eight years with the Cardinals. Up to that point, that's a long time for a starting quarterback.
Yeah.
Nowadays, unless you get deep in the playoffs or win a championship, you're gone. So,
Yeah. Did he go to Eastern Washington University? Am I right about that, or am I completely wrong?
you're close. You got it wrong.
Okay.
But you got the region correct and the size of the school.
Was it Washington
correct.
State instead, or
Nope, smaller than that. I don't
Okay.
know. I mean, I don't even.
I'm
I mean,
blanking.
he's born from Portland, Oregon.
Okay, so he's maybe an Oregon school.
His home is Crevcore,
Was it Portland State?
Portland State.
Okay.
That is correct.
That's-
Very good.
Yeah, yeah.
Mark flashing his knowledge there. That's very impressive.
Thank you.
Okay. You want that?
All right, sure.
Blocker.
So, okay. All right, so here it is for the audience, and here it is for you.
Oh, I think that's Veda Pinson.
Nailed it.
All right.
Nicely done.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't sure if I saw that card, I don't know if I would have been able to identify Veda.
When I first saw it, I thought John Mayberry.
Yeah, yeah.
And then he's a little bit more trim than John Mayberry, maybe. Yeah.
So, anyways,
And
nicely.
he was a great player.
Yes, yes.
I think he's always one of those borderline Hall
Hall
of
of
Fame
Famer.
people.
Yeah, cusp
talk
guy.
about. And one fun thing is if you go to I think it's his rookie card, he has his minor league stats on it for some reason. They didn't always do that. And I believe he had 20 triples in
Wow.
a season, which that's really hard to do. Right?
George Brett had that, I think, in
Oh, wow.
1980, 81, something like that. Or not 81, because that was strike year, but I think or late 70s, I think he had 20 triples
It's
one
got
year.
to be like a combination of great power, great speed, and a big ballpark.
And luck.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Maybe some bad outfield play.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. All right.
Okay, I got another one. I don't expect you to get this.
Excellent.
It's definitely somebody I do not know. It is from the 93 set. There's the card.
Okay.
Now I'm going to show it to Mark.
83 set, you mean?
83, sorry. And now I got to make sure. I'm going to even show you the smaller picture,
wow.
which I don't think will help
No,
you. But
I mean I'm seeing the Z on the end of his, so it's like
Okay.
a Martinez or a like, but
I mean, nothing, right? Like I saw this card and I was like, I have no idea who that is.
I mean no, based on the face and whatever, no, I have no idea who that is. I mean I would guess something like a Jose Martinez or something, but that's probably not right. So yeah, I do not know.
That is not. It is Guy Soulars.
Oh, Suarez? Oh, Solars.
Solars.
Okay, yes.
Do you know that?
The name rings a bell because I was collecting during that time, and so, but no, I would not have ever
Yeah,
come
I mean,
up with
it's
that.
like I don't think he got more than. It says like 100 some at bats up to this point. So, anyways, Guy Soulars.
Guy Soulars.
Sorry to do that to you.
That's
I
all
just
right.
I wanted to pick somebody super obscure.
You did it.
Yeah.
I did not pick someone super obscure, so yeah. We'll see. So this is football,
Okay.
70s. Here we go, and yeah, you'll see that he is a 1,000-yard rusher.
Oh, that's Lydell Mitchell.
Wow. Yep.
Yes.
Nailed it.
And I have an affinity for those cards that had the 1,000-yard rusher. I remember thinking, wow, that's so many yards back then. And there's like, I think it's nine guys got the special.
Oh yeah.
And this is the only time Topps actually did that, where they would
Right.
put 1,000-yard rusher on the card. So I have a collection of all those. So that's unfair for me.
Hey, what do I know? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like O.J. Simpson, Walter Payton, Lawrence McCutcheon, who was
Tony
my
Dorsett,
guy.
probably, or was he even?
I don't think he was there yet.
Oh, maybe not. You're right.
I mean,
this
he's
is
certain-
this is 78, right? And so he's
78. He's 79.
He's 79.
rookie.
That's right.
Yeah. Gosh, who else?
This is 77, actually. Sorry, this is 77.
Maybe Chuck Foreman,
Yeah. Franco Harris.
Franco Harris. Yes. Gosh, the last few
I'm blanking too.
gonna have to
Yeah, I
go
don't.
go back and look, but
That's funny.
yeah, it's like I love subsets. I love the little small subsets you can get. So
Yeah.
like leader cards, all-star cards. And this is just unique. You
Right.
don't see the 1,000-yard rush.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, exactly. I mean, I know we have in the 90s they had that special subset of the 1,000-yard receivers and
Yeah.
1,000-yard rushers.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
They came in inserts.
I think
right?
so. Yeah, the inserts.
I can tell you those are worth nothing.
Not much.
'Cause
That's
I think it's like the junkiest of the junk wax.
Right.
I like those cards, and I went to collect them, and I was happy to see like, oh, you can buy the whole set for like $5 or
Exactly.
something. Yeah.
Yeah. So no, that was fun.
Yeah. And
Congratulations again.
Thank you. It was unfair for me to pull guys too large.
It's all right.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
all right. Gotta challenge each other. It's fine.
Okay.
So
Anyways, I think that'll do it for this episode.
yeah. Thank you, everyone. And yeah, like you said, please like, subscribe, and comment if you could.
Yeah.
Take care, everyone.